Hello and welcome everyone. We have our friend Jaimin here. She's a lender extraordinaire. She's been in the industry for a long time, and she's not a small lender. Okay, she's not somebody who does one or two houses or three or four. She's big time. We're talking hundreds of deals. So we're lucky to have here, and the goal is to extract as much of our knowledge and experience as possible, right? Because we're in COVID situation right now. I'm here on my Zoom meeting, and Jaimin is on her Zoom meeting. Welcome, Jaimin, to our channel.
Thank you, Anand, for inviting me and appreciate it for the opportunity. Just quick overview about myself that I'm an entrepreneur and after I existed my tech and GovCom business
Okay.
and I decided that the real estate is a fun, creative market space to get in.
Right.
And while I'm not an expert in the construction, and I love to partner with the expert in the market
Right.
and using my financial resources to help those people, talented developers, and using their knowledge and experience in order to achieve their dreams.
Wow. Well said. Well said. And that's what I want people to understand. We are trying to give exposure to entrepreneurs that are local. I mean, you go to an Oprah show and you see these world-renowned, lender investors and vice versa, hedge fund managers and all that, which is nice. But I think we want people who are local that people can relate to. And also want to point out that, the aspect of lending that Jamin is really an expert in or has been doing, at least with me personally, is hard money lending. Is that correct, Jamin?
Yeah, yeah. It is a type of a hard money lending.
Okay, great. So, Jamin, tell us like what inspired you to get into the lending business, and why don't you choose something else? Like I know you said real estate is a bit of a fun activity, and I think it is. That's why I'm in it. But why not like I don't know parachute gliding or some other sport or something different that people do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a part of it you have to go back to my heritage as I'm Chinese.
Oh,
I born
nice.
in Shanghai. I come here in 1992, and maybe it's part of my heritage that we love. We tend to love real estate land in general. And after I exited my business, that I find that investing in real estate and can create a more stable, low risk returns. And also it's a very new, interesting space that I have not dabbled in before.
Oh, wow.
So it's continue learning and growing for me and going to this market. And I learn a lot from the people that I work with and a
Yeah.
lot of talented real estate developers and general contractors.
Awesome. Thank you so much for saying that. So now, I mean, Jamin, you've obviously achieved a level of success that I would say personally a few people that I know have. But then, like, what motivates you now?
As mentioned before, that I think the continued growth and learning new things that's really motivates me. As I recently that passed my SIA test. It's kind of like a certification test for investment,
Oh, I see.
and
Nice.
yeah, during the process I learned a lot of things, and same as
Congratulations.
I learned a lot of things in the real estate market by
Yeah.
working with a bunch of smart people.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, you are definitely one person who I see just wants to grow and grow and grow. And I think that's something I find very common with all entrepreneurs is they don't need, some goal set to learn new things. They're always learning. They're always absorbing things, always trying to grow their mental capacity. Because I really believe that unless you grow your mind, you really can't grow your portfolio or your properties or whatever you want to do. When you suffer a loss, how do you deal with that? Because I'm sure when you were new in this business, you suffered your first loss or deal, you're like, wait a minute, I didn't think this was going to happen. So how did you deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we all make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
That's a part of life, and I think that most of the cases that we just have to take this as a lessons learned.
Hmm.
And the more important is to realize that what you learn from it.
Yeah.
I think there's an example that I tried to did a loan. I was very tempted by a promise, a high profit
Hmm.
from that deal. And why it seems too good to be true at that time, but I still did it.
Yeah.
But the lessons learned is that if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
So you're saying the lesson learned is to be more disciplined. Um,
Yeah, you need to
yeah.
be more disciplined, and sometimes you have to realize that if you think you trust your instinct, right? If you really
Oh,
think it's people promise like your very high returns,
yeah.
and is this you have to ask yourself, is this realistic? Is that too good to be true?
Yeah. So I mean, you mentioned one lesson learned. Are there, if you were to give us like three takeaways or your top three or top two, whatever that may be, in real estate lending, what would they be?
I think that on the lending side, I guess that or from in general in the real estate side, I think it's very important to find a great partners and
Mm,
somebody that complementary your skill sets. I find some of the good partnership, like some people with little money, investors, and find a general contractor as a partner and a good one so they can make sure that the project is successful on time.
mhm,
And you have to really do your homework, and do the comps, cost estimations,
mhm.
and make sure the number really works. Give yourself enough buffer,
Right, right. That's
and
wonderful.
also find the lenders that who can really also working with you on the due diligence as well, because a
Hmm.
lender is your friend actually, and we
Right,
are on the same side and want to make sure you are going to be successful in your project. But only you successful, and then we will be successful.
right. It's a partnership, right? So yeah, so there you have it, guys. I mean, takeaways: find a good partner. Make sure you're conservative in your approach. Don't get swayed by high profits and high margins and so on and so forth. And be realistic, right? I mean, trust your instincts. In the game of lending, I mean, what are some of the traits you've seen in the investors you've lent money to that you, or some of the signs that you feel like, oh wow, this could be a really good investor that I can partner with and keep doing business with. What are some of the key things that you can share so people can think about that before they approach you?
Yeah, I think that the key aspect is reliable and
Reliability
responsible.
and responsible.
Responsive. It has a
Responsive.
good responsiveness. Have experience to do the jobs, or you partner with somebody who has experience to do the jobs, and
Hmm.
then the likelihood that your project success will be higher. And reliable person, responsible person, the people that will be accountable for what they do, right?
Hmm.
A the third one is responsiveness, and that's an interesting point. That so my recommendation here is that really work with your lenders, not try to turn your phone off, kind of like the
Hmm.
wall, and that will be, drive the lender crazy. They want to work with you. They want your project to be successful. So
Yeah.
try to be responsive to their calls, and even though when your project does not do well, still return their calls and they try to work a solution with them.
Right, and it's funny you said that because in the consulting business, where I've also done a lot of work with top, 500 consulting firms, they teach us the same thing. They tell us that if you're late, tell the client you're late. If you can't make the meeting, tell the client you can't make the meeting. If you think the project is going to be delayed, let them know ahead of in advance before it even happens. Even though you might think you can save the project, let them know anyways because they're gonna gain your trust. And I think the more you talk to me, the more I realize it's a lot of it has to have common sense and personal relationships, not really trying to outsmart the other person or thinking you can do everything yourself. I can't do everything myself. I rely on my contractors and then on my project managers and my consultants on the site. Now, the current market, obviously, the current conditions, the rates are lower at the market, but also the sales are not as high. And with COVID, everything is up and down. The market is very unpredictable, especially in the stock market, maybe somewhat in the real estate market as well. Um, how has your strategy changed, in this market right now? How is your strategy evolving,
Yeah, actually, when COVID happens, and all the a lot of the hardware lenders they shut down. They don't lending anymore.
Oh, wow.
Some of them are still not lending.
Hmm.
Because of uncertainty of the market.
Yeah,
We are still lending, and we believe the DC market is stable than the rest of the country.
right.
And we try to be more proactively working with our borrowers and pick their project carefully. And
Right.
I think a lot of questions that we want to ask the borrower to think about is that what's happening in market jobs, and some of the properties maybe can convert to the rentals, right? And so some of the strategy that it has to thinking through before doing the project.
But you're right. The DC market, I mean, I myself tried to rent a property recently, and I thought nobody's going to want to rent my property, but I had like 9 people interested in it. So I think sometimes the media scares you a little bit of what the reality is. But in reality, to each zip code or each, scenario is different. Um, so I'm glad you're sharing that. So I mean, Jamin, are you on the internet or social media anywhere that you want to tell the audience where to find you? Not to start calling you, but at least to find and read about you, what you offer, your services.
Yeah, so our website is here. You can see on my background,
Yes, I can see.
and
Yeah.
I'll have a phone number and our website here, decisivecapitalpartners.com or decisivesecurities.net.
Okay. So yeah, so folks, I mean, you can see on the screen, and I'll display it at the bottom as well. www.decisivecapitalpartners.com. So make a note of that. Again, I can tell you from my personal experience, this lady is definitely a special person to work with. Very understanding, very accommodating. If you're honest and if you're responsive and you're responsible in your needs. So those are the takeaways from this interview. Obviously, Jamin, we love having you. We would love to have you again, and someday maybe when COVID is over, you could come to our studio in person and have some tea and share more insights. Because in this small script, I mean, I learned a lot, and I'm sure the audience, which will be thousands of people seeing this, will learn a lot from your experience. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you
Okay.
very much,
Bye.
Then.